Hey folks, today we're going to teach you how to tie a clove hitch, sometimes referred to as a double hitch. Clove hitch is one of the easiest knots to learn and amongst the most important to know. And it's most useful when the running end of your rope needs to be adjustable, since feeding the rope back into the knot from either end will loosen it and allow you to retighten it in a different position. Here's two ways to tie the clove hitch. To tie a clove hitch to something like a tree or a post, start by bringing your rope around, back under, and then crossed over itself to form an X. From there, wrap it around the post a second time, leaving a small space that you're just going to feed the end through. Finally, just pull it tight and there's your clove hitch. If you can go over the top of your object rather than around it, simply make 2 loops in the rope. Make sure that the end of one loop falls in front of the rope and that the other end falls behind. Next, just cross your back loop over the top of your front loop. You can see the X shape it forms once crossed. From there, slide both loops over the top of your object and pull your clove hitch tight. Crossing the loops is where most people run into trouble with this method. Just look for your X to make sure that you've properly crossed your back loop over the front. If you didn't, you'll see that you wind up without an X and just an open loop in the rope instead. The clove hitch works best for things like lashings or tying a line running between a series of points. It can also work for belaying or as a weak binding, but keep in mind that it can slip if an end is pulled in the wrong direction. It's important to remember that a clove hitch will only really work on a rounded object, and if you're using a finer cord, it can become difficult to untie after a heavy loading. Don't forget, the best way to get good at tying knots is by tying knots, so get practicing.